Well, we're back at it. It's a new challenge and a new project we're starting. We're getting ready to start today with the electrical. My goal is that there's a couple of phases that are going to go into this actual process for me. I've got the fuse box to put in. I've got the outside meter socket to put in. I have to put in 4-aught cable that connects the two of those together. That will be stage one. I'll get that set. Have all those pieces and parts, and so we'll get busy with that. And then the second phase of this will be actually wiring the house. I still have a lot of calculations to do on materials that I need, but I'm starting to gather those so we can start wiring the inside of the house. That will then be wired up to the circuit breaker. And then the third phase of this is the actual run from the power pole outside to the meter socket. That part is going to have to wait. I had planned on getting that done. I had Mission Valley Power came out and did the review of everything and gave us the sign off for that. And that was pretty nice to have that done. I mean, they measured all the way from the pole to the house, and I've got some definite work to do there. But unfortunately, winter came 2 weeks earlier than I had anticipated, so I was not able to get that part dug out and get the dig out for the actual power vault that needs to go in between the power pole and the house. So that part will have to wait until spring, or my goal is to get that done in spring or early summer so that we can actually get power to the house. So my plan is to get everything in the house wired and all of that done. That includes wall sockets, lights, everything else we've got to go in here, and then have that signed off by the electrical inspector, because that's one of the inspections that we need is the electrical. So my goal is to get that all done, and then we'll do the outside power connection to the house as the third and final phase to that. And then the fourth piece of this will be to run a sub panel out to the shop and power the actual shop. That part of my project can wait a little while. I'm not overly concerned about having power out in the shop just yet, but we'll get to that. So anyway, let's get started by putting in the fuse panel. That's pretty cool. So we've got that position. It's positioned well, and now we'll go ahead and get it secured in, and then we'll probably end up cutting this bottom plate loose so that I can run wires and cable down from below without having to worry about cutting penetrations through there. But all in all, it's nice to have the fuse panel in place where it's going to go, and we'll continue on with the electrical. Well, now that we've got the fuse panel installed and ready to go, we'll go ahead and go outside and start working on getting the meter socket attached to the house. One thing I need to do is I've got to measure up how high that's going to be, and then put some blocking on the inside walls of the house, so that I can connect the lag screws in to lag that to the house. And we'll get that done, and then we'll run our cable between the fuse panel here and the outside meter box. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Well, this is the area that I'm talking about. We're directly across from the fuse panel, which is over there. And somewhere in here, on the outside of the house will be the meter box. So I've got to put in some 2x6 blocking in here so that I can lag that in, and then we'll drill through the house and go down through the base plate in and underneath the house and run the cable to get that going. So one thing I have to do with this meter panel is right down here at the bottom, in the center here, there's a knockout. I have to knock that out, and then we'll run that four-piece cable up through here, that 4-aught SC cable. We'll run from underneath the house straight up. So we got to knock that out, and then we got to drill a hole down at the base for that cable to come up through. So we'll get that done. All right, then I've got this 1.5 inch or 1.5 inch diameter piece that I'll put in the box that'll protect the cable once I get it in there. Just from once I start moving it around, it'll give some cable protection and keep it from getting rubbed on the edge, because this is still a pretty sharp edge down here. Okay. Whew. A couple more of those to go and we'll be in good shape. All right, well, we're gonna start prepping this cable for this box. What we have here is we have 2 hots, a neutral, and then a ground. So we've got all 4 wires here, so we'll go ahead and remove these lugs, and then we'll start cutting the cable out and getting ready to install all that. Yeah, I'm just being careful not to cut into the actual cable. So one thing in my research is that we have to put this OxyGuard on the cables because this is aluminum and there's different kinds of metal that'll keep it from oxidizing. We're going to do this on this side of the panel side, and also again on the meter socket side as well. All right, now we got this side hooked up, and now we'll step outside and attach our meter box and start working on that wiring on that end. But we're coming along pretty happy with everything so far. Like I said, this stuff is pretty thick gauge and pretty hard to work with, but I think I'm pulling through. So let's head outside and get working on the meter socket. First things I have to do, this is the outside meter socket and additional fuse panel, sub panel for things like the well, the septic, and the shop. We'll connect up into all that later on. But I have to go ahead and prep this box because we're gonna figure out exactly where everything goes to be able to cut and drill holes and then attach it to the side of the house so that we can start running our cable. So we'll go ahead and get busy prepping this thing. It didn't take me long to realize that I had the wrong meter socket, and what I needed was a standard one, not one with an outside fuse panel. So here's a little bit of a rant on the electrical. So I went into Home Depot and I was talking with a guy who supposedly knows what he's doing, and I told him I needed the cable from connecting from this main breaker panel to the meter socket and panel outside. And what I was told is I needed 4/0 wire, which is two hots, 2 neutrals, and a ground. So that's this right here. Right? So I go and I look, my bad, I don't have enough electrical knowledge at all to even know what I'm doing. So this is a problem. But when I look in here at the fuse panel, it goes hot, neutral, ground. So I got three lugs there. When I come over to the actual box, which I have a feeling they sold me the wrong box as well for the outside of the house with the meter socket, I've got problems there as well. So we got to sort through this. So of course I've got the lugs for the ground to come up from outside of the pole. I'm missing the lugs that go right here that connect the house. There's no penetration here to actually go into the house. That is over on this side down below here. So realistically, I'd have to come from here, go up through here, through this way, and then back down to the top here to get power to this box. So I need some advice. So I'm gonna reach out to some local electricians and see if I can get some real information on what I need to do here, because I'm not gonna start drilling and tapping this box and doing everything. But the problem is that it's an hour and a half drive to Kalispell or to Missoula to go and get the right stuff that I already got. And the problem with that 4/0 cable is that is $10.50 a foot, and there are 28 feet there. So pretty easy to do the math on that, on what a waste of money that was to have the wrong cable. So we're gonna have to get some advice here before we continue, but we'll keep at it. That's some of the downfalls of doing it yourself, I guess. Well, after some research and consulting a bunch of people around, including some guys over at Platt Electric, I got a different meter socket than the one that I had. I got some wrong info on that first one. That had a panel actually attached to it, and there was no way to run back into the house with that other one without having a bunch of additional disconnects and a bunch of stuff just to make it more complex. So again, I got some help from a high school friend of mine who's an electrician, and he pointed out to get just the standard meter box, and we'll run from here into the house with that. But we got to go ahead and get this one prepped and ready so we can start putting it on the outside of the house. All right, so we got the meter socket installed. We've got the cable running all the way underneath the house and up to the fuse panel. That completes phase 1 of our electrical. Like I said, there are 3 phases we've got from the outside here, from this panel, from this meter socket to the power pole. That has to be done during the spring once all the snow and all that melts. We'll dig our 250-foot trench and put all that 3-inch conduit in to connect the main power. That's going to be done by Mission Valley Power. And then we'll continue on with phase 2 of this project, which is going to be the wiring in the house. That's a huge accomplishment. I mean, this right here was a lot for me, it was a lot of learning and a lot of research to get to where I understood exactly what components I needed and what I didn't need. Again, I will say don't rely on the expertise at Home Depot. That is not a way to go. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the support that I had electrician-wise. We'll try and see if we can get some more. Like I said, as we go through this, it's pretty imperative to figure out what I'm doing, that I'm doing it right before I call for an inspection. But I believe I have the meter and the main circuit breaker panel installed correctly, so we're good to go there. Anyway, if you like this type of thing, please remember to like and subscribe and leave some comments. I really do appreciate it, and I love hearing from you. All right, thanks for watching.